Hello, it is I. I'm back. Now, before we start, I feel like I should address the concerning fact that this channel has basically devolved into a meme page. Much like my life in general, this channel is not progressing the way it probably should, nor the way I wanted it to. But we will be remedying that, hopefully, or at least trying to. But not today. That's right, I have once again denied you poor, innocent viewers a piece of valuable content, and have opted to make this yet another video about a topic that you don't care about, and probably never will. So buckle up, I guess. Halloween this year will likely shape up to be the scariest it's ever been, and probably not for the reasons you think. So, in an attempt to lighten the mood, I thought I'd talk about some of my favorite Halloween specials. There's certainly a lot of those. Of course, you have your classics, like Halloween 1978, Nightmare Before Christmas, Monsters vs. Aliens. But there's actually a lot of other ones that kinda slip under the radar. Some of my personal favorites include Grinch Night, the cartoon adaptation of a Dr. Seuss book. If you've ever wanted to see what the art style of Dr. Seuss would look like in a horror setting, this is probably as close as you're going to get. You can watch the full thing on YouTube for free. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. I highly recommend it. Another noteworthy one that a lot of people don't know about is Mad Monster Party, which was basically the creators of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer's attempt at a Halloween movie. I don't remember everything about this one because it has been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember it was pretty intelligent for a kid's movie. It actually dug into adult topics such as greed and corruption and power dynamics. It's pretty interesting. I'd recommend it. And who could forget the surprisingly good Batman vs. Dracula movie? I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous if you haven't seen the movie before, but I can assure you it's not as stupid as it looks. It's also an addition to the greatest Batman series ever made, don't at me. I'm sure there's plenty of other great ones I haven't touched on, so feel free to leave those in the comments, but for now we're really going to be focusing on my personal favorite, though I'm not exactly sure why it's my personal favorite, of all the Halloween specials, Ichabod and Mr. Toad. My relationship with this movie is somewhat akin to my relationship with Daniel Boone, in that I probably shouldn't like it as much as I do. After all, the thing is only half Halloween because it was a double feature, and the first part, Mr. Toad, an adaptation of The Wind in the Willows, has absolutely nothing to do with Halloween or anything scary, as a matter of fact.
But aren't you afraid of the police?
Afraid of the police? I, Toad, afraid of the police?
Open up! Open up, I say!
The police!
I honestly question the rationale to combine these two shorts together. Like, did someone slip Walt Disney a Mickey before he did this? I mean, see what I did there? Regardless, I did, in fact, grow up with a DVD copy of these two combined shorts, and the only time I would ever watch them was in October. The problem with doing this, and subsequently watching them as if they're a Halloween movie, is that you kind of shortchange Mr. Toad. See, what would happen is that infantile me would pop this sucker into the DVD player and basically treat the Mr. Toad segment as a hurdle to get through before you could get to the Halloween part. And the first part was equally as good, but I just didn't really ever recognize it because I was busy waiting for what I had come for, Halloween. So let's talk about that Halloween segment. This is, after all, supposed to be a Halloween video. And unless you consider the British court system to be scary, well, never mind. Let's move on. So what you gotta know about this Ichabod short film is that everyone is voiced by Bing Crosby, and I mean everyone. He's the only voice actor in the whole thing. If you didn't know, Bing Crosby was a pretty famous singer and actor from the 40s. And since Ichabod and Mr. Toad was released in 1949, I'm sure that's probably why they had him narrate / voice every single character. It's kind of like how Cats shoved a bunch of celebrities into its cast to make people want to watch the movie. Except in this scenario, it actually works because Bing Crosby is a musical celebrity, and Ichabod is a musical short. The only real problem with this is that it's a little unnerving to hear every character in the film being voiced by the same guy in the same way without any difference. Second point. For being a technically Halloween story, it has actually very little to do with Halloween. That's not really the fault of the short because it's based off the book The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, which also has very little to do with Halloween. I really couldn't tell you why this story is a classic because it's actually quite weird. It doesn't really revolve around Halloween at all. It's mainly about Ichabod Crane and his pursuits of Katrina Van Tassel, and it kind of culminates with the whole Headless Horseman thing, but it's definitely not the focus. So I don't know, it's weird. It's very weird. But in spite of the strange lack of spookiness, I'd have to say that this is definitely my favorite in terms of Halloween classics. I mean, I I couldn't really tell you why. I mean, there are some good points to it. Like the songs are very well done, especially Bing Crosby's Headless Horseman song, which is an instant classic as far as I'm concerned. The old hand-drawn 2D animation really brings an atmospheric style, and you really do get a sense that you're, in an October, setting. You get a very autumnal feeling from watching it, so that's also a plus. And I would say probably the best part is the chase with the Headless Horseman, or rather the build-up to it. There's actually this really extended segment that doesn't have any narration, and it's just Ichabod walking or riding through this forest on all these creepy sounds and eerie music, and they incorporate like the sounds of nature into the music, and it just builds and builds and builds the tension so that by the end of it, you are actually scared when the Headless Horseman comes out. For a children's cartoon, it's actually pretty genius how they build up to the Headless Horseman. So that's also, a great part of that. But really, I mean, there isn't much here, and yet for some reason I just really, really like it. Yeah. I guess what I just said shows you that this is definitely not a critical analysis in the slightest. No, that would require actual effort, and we don't do that here on this channel. On that note, I don't have really anything else to say except happy Halloween and stay safe if you are going to go trick-or-treating. Stay safe either way, honestly. And I hope to see you next time. Perhaps at that place and time, I will have figured out what the frick I'm going to do and actually make some valuable content, but no promises. Alright, this has been S. Winchester, and I'll see you next time, hopefully. Please come back.